Welcome back to my channel. Today's LeetCode DCC question is least number of unique integers after k removal. The problem statement says given an array of integers ARR and an integer k, find the least number of unique integers after removing exactly k elements. The problem statement says, so we will be given an array of integers and a value k. So what we have to do, we have to remove k elements from this array, any key elements from this array, and after removing it we have to calculate the number of distinct elements from the remaining elements, distinct elements. And our task is to minimize this number of distinct elements. So given an example 5, 4 and k equal to 1, if we remove 5 from this array, the number of distinct elements will be 2. And in the same example, if we remove 4, the number of distinct elements will be 1. So our answer will be 1, not 2, because we have to minimize the number of distinct elements after removing k elements. So the answer for this example will be 1. So how we can approach this question? So suppose, take one more example. Suppose we have integer 1, I1, and we have 1 instances of I1, I2, and 2 instances of I2, I3, and 3 instances of I3. Now, if I would ask you what will be the minimum value of k such that we can reduce the number of distinct elements from this array. So currently number of distinct element is 3. So if I would ask you what will the minimum value of k such that we can reduce this 3 to 2. So from this, if we see, if we remove one instance of I1, we will reduce the number of distinct elements to 2. But if I will remove instances of I2, we need to remove 2 instances of I2. And using I3, we need to remove 3 instances of I3. That means if the k value is 1 and if we remove 1 instances of I1, we will be able to reduce the number of distinct elements to 2. If we want to reduce the number of distinct elements further, then in this remaining elements, I2 equal to 2, I3 equal to 3, then what will be the minimum value of k such that we can reduce the number of distinct elements from 2 to 1. So if we remove 2 instances of I2, then the number of distinct elements remaining will be 1, right? And if we remove 3 instances of I3, then we will be able to reduce the number of distinct elements. So minimum we need at least k value 2 to reduce the number of distinct elements. So from this example, it is clear like to reduce the number of distinct elements one by one from 3 to 2, 2 to 1. First, we have removed that number which have minimum number of instances. Here, I1, we have removed I1 because it was having only 1 instances. And from 2 to 1, we have removed I2 because I2 have only 2 instances. That means to achieve minimum number of distinct integer after removing k elements, we should remove those elements first which have minimum number of instances. So let's take this example. We have 4, 3, 1, 1, 3, 3, 2, and k is 3. So what we have said, we have to remove those elements which have minimum number of instances. So 1, the frequency of 1 is 2, 2 is 1, 3 is 3, 4 is 1. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, who have the minimum number of instances? 2 and 4. So we can remove any one. So let's suppose we remove 2. On removing 2, one instances of 2, so k will be reduced to 2. Now, if we further want to remove the instances, the minimum frequency of the element has 4. 4 have the minimum number of instances. So next we will remove 4. Now it have 1 instances, so our k value will reduce to 1. Now in 1 and 3, who have the minimum number of instances? 1, right? So, but can we remove all the 2 instances of 1? No, because we have remaining elements to remove is 1. So we can remove only 1 instances of 1. So it is 1. So once our k is finished, so what are the instances we have left? 1 instances of 1 and 3 instances of 3. So the number of distinct element present after removing 3 elements from the array will be 2, right? So this is the output. So let's write the code here. So what we need to do first? We need to calculate the frequency of each element, right? Let's name it frequency. So we have calculated the frequency of each element. Now we are not bothered with the instance value. We are bothered with the number of instances, right? So we will take another vector in which we will put the frequency of each elements. Let's suppose the vector name is V. Now we will iterate the map. We will put the frequency of each instances inside the vector. So frequency of each instances is our value. So now we have the instances of each element, the count of instances of each element in our vector. Now we will sort the vector so that every time we will get the minimum instances first. So once we have sorted, so once we will sort the vector, what will happen? So taking example 2 again, we have frequency of 4 is 1, 3 is 3, 1 is 2, and 2 is 1. And our k value is 3. So in our map, we will store the frequencies like this, right? For 4, we have 1 instances, 3, we have 3 instances, 1, we have 2 instances, and 2 has 1 instance. So this is key, and this is value. Now in our vector, we will store this frequencies, that is the value. So now we will have 1, 1. Now we will sort this vector. So we will get 1. After sorting, we will get 1, 1, 2, and 3. So why we are doing the sorting? Because every time we want to we want to reduce those elements remove those elements which have minimum number of instances. So we will iterate from the starting index and we will check whether we can remove this whole instances of that element or not, depending on the remaining value of k. So while we have k, we will check if. So first our in the beginning our index will point at 0. So this is 0, 0th index, 1 index, 2th index, 3rd index. So we will check whether vector of current index, the count is less than equal to k. This is so we will reduce the count of k, increase the index. Else, that means we don't have sufficient k value to remove the instances. Then we will break. So let's understand the solution. So in our vector, after sorting, we will get 1, 1, 2, and 3. And our k value is 3. Currently, our index is pointing at 0. So currently, our index is pointing at 0. So what we are doing, we are checking whether the index pointing to the vector, the element, that frequency is greater than or less than k. So it is less than k, right? So we will remove those instances. So it is 1. So our k will reduce to 2 and we will increase our index. It will point to index number 1. Again, we will see whether this instances is greater than k or not. So it is less than k. So again, we will remove those instances. Now k will reduce to 1 and our index will point to 2. Now if we see, that means we have removed this and this. Now if we will check whether second index, vector pointing to second index, that is 2, is greater than k or not. So currently the k value is 1, right? So it is not greater than k. Then what we are doing, we are breaking the while loop. So we will be, so after breaking the while loop, our index will still be pointing to 2. That means we are left with the elements from the current index till the end of the array, right? So how many instances how many distinct elements we are left with? So we can calculate that by vector, by size of the vector. Size of the vector is 4 and our index is pointing at 2. If we will reduce 2, then we will get the number of distinct instances, that is 2. That means here we can return the size of vector minus current index. Let's try to run the test cases. Let's try to submit the solution. Yeah, it is accepted. Meet you in the next video. Thank you.